At She Can, we tell women's stories. We profile women from all over the world and show how they got to where they are today, because it's easier to be what you can see. And I'm very happy to introduce Oluyemi Orija today. Oluyemi, welcome to She Can. You're a Nigerian lawyer who's using her voice and expertise to decongest Nigerian prisons, helping innocent inmates get justice. You're the founder of Headfort Foundation, which is an NGO established in 2019, which freed hundreds of prisoners to date. You also set up the Headfort Chambers, a law firm specializing in employment law, family law, succession, commercial, and corporate law. And you have been included in BBC's Most Inspiring Women in 2021. Congratulations to that. Tell us a bit
Okay.
more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so you've said it all, but I just need to add that I am from a village in Nigeria, and looking at my background, it seemed like nobody from that kind of background would achieve any or something close to what have achieved. And so being a lawyer in Nigeria, I have seen firsthand people, go through the injustices that happens even in our courtrooms. And these, I was determined on filling the gap, bridging the gap, the justice gap in Nigeria, especially to the less privileged. So what I do basically is to provide legal aid for people who do not have the financial capacity to contract services of lawyers. And I have been doing this since 2019. Until date, we've helped 581 persons out of prison. And our team has grown, from a team of one person, Oluyemi Orija, to a team of over 200 volunteers across Nigeria, 36 states, and also about 25 full-staff employees that we now have. So it is challenging, it is fulfilling at the same time, and it's something I really love to do. And of course, until the solution is there, until we have less people in our prisons, Oluyemi isn't stopping.
Oluyemi, that is so inspiring, and we are so excited by your incredible success. Tell us a bit more about your journey. You come, as you said, from a small village in Nigeria. How did you think as a small girl, the law is what I want to do, and how did you get to study and then practice it?
Yeah, I love this question because it's very personal. And in 2000, at 12 years old, I witnessed an event in my village where about 30 breadwinners of households were arrested because they had farms close to a murder scene. And the police did a mass arrest of these men. Some of them were on the farm on the day of the incident, some weren't. And then they were at the police station. The father of my best friend was one of them. And it's a small village, so we all knew ourselves and we knew the people who were affected by this. These men didn't have lawyers. Our village didn't have any lawyer who could also represent them. They didn't have money to also contract services of lawyers. And these men were in prison, in courts, and prison, trapped in the justice system for about 2 years. Some of the children of these men dropped out of school because they were incarcerated and no one could take care of them. Some of them were married off at young age. And my friend also dropped out of school. It was at this time I asked my father, who is a chief in my village at the time, that how come we do not have any lawyer who could even represent these people? The village elders were contributing monies to contract services of lawyers for them. And it was this event, that made me determined to study law, because I was wondering how come in my entire village at the time, nobody is a lawyer that could, take up this case. So I was determined to be a lawyer. My dad was not a lawyer, but he would mediate on small claims, matters in my village as a chief. He would mediate on matters. And I see how he did all of this thing. And I was more determined to be a lawyer. So in 2013, I was called to the Nigerian bar. And I thought the injustice was only happening in my village until I got out of my village through education. and getting out of my village, starting to practice law. Then I even saw that in the courtrooms, there are poor people, charged for minor offenses. Some of them like absolutely innocent of crime charged, but because they had no lawyer, they had prolonged time in jail. Then I was asking, how are they going to get lawyers? I mean, you can imagine somebody who barely lives on $1 a day. How is he even going to think of contracting a lawyer and is trapped in the Nigerian justice system? Sometimes they have committed the crime, but the law also says fair hearing, meaning that their own side of the story must be heard. And to do that, they need the services of lawyers. In some cases, they are absolutely innocent, but because of the corruption in the police system, they find themselves here. It was when I witnessed in the courtroom in 2018, a young man that was arraigned for breaking crates of eggs. At the time, the crate of egg was worth less than $5. And the court was about to remand him in prison for this. I was in court for something entirely different. Then I stood up and said I was going to represent him for free. I represented him and I told the court on that day that instead of remanding this young man in prison and adding to the numbers of people we currently have in prison, Nigerian prison ideally has about 250% congestion, meaning you have a prison built for 800 persons, but accommodating over 3,000 persons. So I said, instead of adding to that number, can we contribute the money, the worth of this egg right here in this courtroom and give it to the complainant? Because I'm sure the complainant is not even interested in this young man going to prison, but interested in our money. And the court agreed with me. Right there, people started to contribute money, 500 naira, 200 naira. In no time, we contributed about 10,000 naira. And the court handed the money over to the complainant. The matter was withdrawn. The young man was happy. He was reprimanded to control his anger, and everyone was happy. Then after that incident, I told myself, if I'm able to help this one person in less than 10 minutes to get out of what could have happened to him. He could have spent 3 months in prison, 6 months in prison before the matter was settled. But we were able to settle it in less than 10 minutes. I could do more. And that was what led to the establishment of Headfort Foundation in 2019. When I established that organization, I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to help people. I had no clue of running a nonprofit organization. I don't know what it is, but I just wanted to help people. And I would go with my friends, we'll go to the prison, we take cases of people who are in there without lawyers, and we represent them. Then we share the stories on social media, especially on Twitter. When we share these stories, I hear people say, I want to join you in what you do. Some people say, I want to volunteer to you. Some people say, I want to donate to you. And I'm like, I don't even have anything going on. I'm just helping people. I'm doing what I love to do, And I saw that a lot of people really want to help, but they don't have the right platforms to do that. And that was one of the reasons I was determined to running an organization that would sustain the test of time, that would also importantly outlive me, because the problem that we are solving is huge, is an enormous one. It's not about Oluyemi Orija. It's about the Nigerian people who are victims of human rights abuse, who are victims of police brutality, arbitrary arrest, and unlawful detention. So that's how Headfort Foundation has come to being. And thankfully today we are now physically present in 5 states in Nigeria, while we are virtually present in all the 36 states of Nigeria, with over 200 volunteers across the country.
Oluyemi, what an incredible success story that is. And it makes me think really of the power of one. One person sees something that they want to change, and how incredible, and how that becomes a sort of wheel that gets set in motion and then really brings about big change. Oluyemi, so what is your main motivator as a lawyer, as a woman lawyer in Nigeria?
What motivates me the most is the outcome of my representation. At the end of the day, when you see this young man who was hopeless, who never thought anyone could come for him or help him. Then you render the help, they get justice, the joy on their faces. The way Nigerians are very spiritual people. The way they pray for you and pray for you and pray for you, when you see that joy, it is unquantified. You cannot quantify it with any sum of money. And that gives me joy. So whenever I am facing any form of challenge and I'm thinking I'm tired of doing this, I remember those moments and it keeps me really going. That's regardless of the challenges,
Yeah.
the smile you bring to those people, the unity you bring to them when they reunite with their families, the joy on the with they bring to the family when they reconnect back with their loved ones, it is unquantifiable and it really, really does keep me going.
Oluyemi, so what are your challenges and pitfalls, and how do you push through them? It must be a contentious subject in Nigeria, doing the work that you do. How do you keep going?
Yeah, a lot of challenges. And the first one I talk about is the mindset, the cultural mindset of the people when it comes to subject like this. A lot of Nigerians will tell you, why are you helping criminals? And this is because they believe or think that for you to be in prison at all, you must have committed one offense or the other. And in real sense, it is not true. So I have to keep on explaining and explaining and explaining to people when I'm being challenged with questions like this. I've met wealthy people that I tell to them, you can help with this course. This course needs funding. And they tell you, why would I want to help a criminal? Then you need to start educating and sensitizing on how the system works and how anybody could be a victim of the system. So that is the number one challenge, the cultural mindset of the Nigerian people when it comes to subject like this. And the second challenge is the Nigerian justice system itself. The system is like sometimes fights back because there is corruption. There is corruption in the sense that you want to help somebody for free. They believe for you to be helping somebody for free, you must have money. Okay. So when you get to the court and you're filing one process or the other, one document or the other, and the official is asking for money, for tips, for bribes, and you say you don't have, they don't want to take you seriously. And you said, I'm doing this case pro bono. Say you must have money to be doing it pro bono, right? Which is not always the case, So there is corruption and it's deep into the system. And so sometimes, most of the time, what we do is we have to report and keep reporting and having people queried and even suspended in some cases for obstructing the flow of our work. Then funding is a major challenge because it is a lot of money to run a course like this. In the past 5 years, we've helped 581 persons out, and currently we are handling over 400 cases pending across about 5 courts in Nigeria. It takes money every day, every minute, to get this job done. But funding consistently is a challenge. Sometimes when people ask me, how do you even pull through? I'm not able to explain, and that is where the law firm comes in. So we have a law firm who is like a sister organization, is a full-fledged for-profit organization. It makes money for itself, and 25% of its proceeds on a monthly basis goes into this cause. So sometimes when we're not able to raise funds, we do not have any grants, we do not have any source of income, that organization sustains the operation at Headfort Foundation. And that's how we've been able to sustain till date, while we are hoping that in the coming year or months, we are able to also have more source of funding. So these are the many challenges itself. I mean, the threat of being arrested is also there because when you step on toes in Nigeria, you could also be arrested. So I live with that every day, that at any point in time, I could be picked up for doing what I do.
Oluyemi, what an unbelievably courageous thing to do in a country that has systemic issues around corruption and all the things you've mentioned. What do you think are your top qualities that make you so good at persevering and continuing this important work?
Um, I never take a no. I'm so so when the challenge is there staring me in the face, I'm staring at it back and I'm like, no, I'm gonna pull through this. So self-determination, I'm determined to succeed in anything that I lay my hands. If I'm not a lawyer, if I was selling paper, I would be successful at it. And that's the mindset for me. And that's what I also think that everybody should, a mindset I think that everybody should hold and grip onto. Then my father taught me that success is not prosperity. Prosperity is you having anything that you want, while success is impactation in life, impacting people's life positively. And that has been a part of me. So at every point in my life, I want to leave you better than I met you. And I want to impact life, and that's the best legacy I want to leave for myself. I say on my bed or in my grave, I want to be remembered. I want to be, the things I want to hear is how people come and say, oh, this woman did this for me. This woman helps me with this. And those are the qualities that I look at. And I say that regardless of the challenges, I would have to keep going, you know.
Yeah. Oluyemi, you've been alluding to it, but what top tips would you give to young girls in Nigeria?
I'd say confidence, be confident at whatever you do. Be honest. Honesty is very important. Be determined. Regardless of what it is that you're faced with, be determined to be successful. Then I would also mention that for young girls, you need to be diligent in whatever you do. Success does not come easy. You have to be very diligent. Diligence is it for me. So I'd say yes, self-determination, honesty, um, confidence, and importantly, your integrity has to be top notch.
Oluyemi, so what are you most proud of to date?
Hmm. I'd say I'm most proud of, whoa, this is huge because there are many of it, but let me pick one. Okay, so I'm most proud of how I've been able to sell my vision to young people who work with me. I've been able to sell the vision of impact, the vision of freedom, the vision of access to justice. I'm able to sell it to my team and they run with it. And they are even like more determined, than myself. They are even willing to put in their own resources to ensure that we achieve whatever thing we want to achieve. So I'm so proud of that.
So, what are your plans and goals for the next years?
The goal, in fact, the goal is to ensure that arbitrary arrest in Nigeria is brought to the barest minimum. And the strategy towards that is to never stop the things we put forward, the action we are taking, never to stop it until we see that that goal realized. So in the next year, we want to be at every corner in Nigeria, providing legal aid, providing access to justice to the marginalized, to the poor, to see that freedom is not bought in Nigeria. It is not by your socio-economic status that you will see justice. You should be able to access justice regardless of your socio-economic status.
Oluyemi, so who are your role models? Who are the people who inspire and motivate you to keep going?
One of them is a woman in Nigeria, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika. She's the chairman of a prominent bank in Nigeria. And I read a book written by her at a very young age. The book is called Girl Entrepreneur. And that book inspired me. I've never met her, but she inspired. I follow her on all social media platforms. She is a spiritual woman. She's diligent. she's success itself, definition of success itself. So she inspires me a lot. And our book has been, the fundamental part of my life, because I never thought I was going to study law at some point because of the myth we hear about law practice in Nigeria. But she broke those myths for me, even in her book, without meeting her. So she's one of them.
Yeah, wow. Oluyemi, thank you so much for your incredible leadership, a leadership full of integrity, for showing how it's done, for going against the grain, and a life full of service and purpose.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.